Welcome to the Learner First video series. This series will share stories of contributive learning from across the world. Contributive learning is the development of self-understanding, connection, knowledge, and competency. At the Learner First, we believe that we experience the greatest sense of wellness and fulfillment when we're able to contribute to people's lives and the world. Today, we sit down with two of our directors of mathematics, Marie and Joe. They share about the importance of connections, including interpersonal, environment, conceptual, and universal connections when it comes to mathematics education.
Yeah, so many things because it's multivariate, isn't it? So connections, I think, first of all, is the people connections, and then we've got the maths content connections, and I think both are equally as important. Teachers I'm working with is the connections that the teachers have with their own students, because the students need to know that the teacher's got their back. So that's like makes all the difference for the student, and to make the maths come alive in the classroom. So for the teachers to have those relationships so that they can just inspire and enthuse, and which is what we do when we work with our teachers. We make those relationships so that we can inspire and enthuse, and hopefully make those connections with our teachers that we work with as well.
When I think about math and connections for me this year, with the research opportunity that I've got, I think for me the word connection is now about the personal connections that I'm making with the people that I've been visiting, or people I've been emailing, or people I've been connecting via Zoom or Teams, to learn about what maths and transitions in mathematics looks like in their context.
So the connections also in the classroom go beyond the teacher-student connection, I reckon. It goes between student and student, because to have that real good culture in the classroom, you've got to have that really good environment that allows people to have a go. Don't worry if you're wrong, you're not going to get laughed at because we're in it together. So I think that's like the people connections are huge. They're massive. And like, I know we've got people who love maths or don't like maths. And I think a lot of that is because, you know, if you see maths in a particular way, if you see it as just something that you do between 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock, and you just have a pen and you've got to fill out sheets, that's what maths is to you. But if you see maths as beyond that, as something that is real life, and it's everywhere that you look around, and it's interconnected across learning areas and what we do in our real life, then you know you get passionate about it. So the connections that we make really visible for our students is super important to make it come to life.
Connections.
I think in terms of mathematics, it's important that students realise that maths concepts or maths ideas very often aren't just discrete things, that they are interconnected. And when we're thinking about fractions, making that realization that our fractions, it's very similar to like when we're dividing, and when we're dividing, like knowing our multiplication facts is really useful, because we use those when we're trying to work out our division facts. We use them. It's in fact, when we're writing fractions, it's just a different way of writing a division. So to kind of see that interconnectedness, I think can be quite powerful, because all of a sudden you're not learning multiple things in isolation. You're learning things that really connect, and through the connections, I think that's where those aha moments come from.
Look at art, maths and art. I mean, there's so much maths in art, all that geometric thinking. Some of the best art pieces are very, very mathematical. You've got maths and music. If I don't know whether you play something musical yourself, but people who are musical, there's so much maths in there. It's fractions, it's knowing that one beat is worth 1 point, and then you've got your crotchets and your quavers, and it's very, very mathematical. Maths and science, and you couldn't do science without maths, really. Maths quantifies all the changes that we see through science. So yeah, connections for maths is so important.
So yesterday I was demoing in a classroom And just with new entrant students, so 5-year-old students. And one thing I've started to ask them to do is put their maths goggles on. So it's like, look around the room and what do you see? Oh, you see a picture, you see a chair, you see the TV screen, you see this. Okay, right, what you need to do now is put your maths goggles on and now have a look and see how the wheel changes when you put your maths goggles on. So, when we see the TV screen, yes, it's a TV screen, but it's also a rectangular shape. Or we see the books in the corner, but I can count 5 books, and so, just putting those, asking students to see the wheel through the lens of mathematics is how maths is connected to their everyday experiences.
Our job, I think, as teachers, is to help our children see those connections and to bring those experiences to life in the classroom so that they do see maths as relevant to them, to their real life, and that it is actually really creative and it's really, really a wonderful learning area. It's not just computation.
The activities we do as part of our professional development is we've got a bank of these everyday pictures. Some are obviously more mathematical than others, but some are literally just, a snapshot of some scenery or a building or what have you. And we ask students to kind of, what do you notice? What do you wonder? Where is the maths in this? Very often say to teachers that I've got this romantic vision that, if we do this with students from a young age, then I like to imagine them skipping home from school and it's like, oh, and there's the maths then. Oh, look how many railings are here, and they're kind of seeing all this maths that was hidden before. They just didn't see before. We asked them to put their maths goggles on and see through these lenses. Yeah.
I think our students and teachers and us, we remember things a lot more when we're actually connected to them. So if I was to ask, a student in the class, oh, what do you remember about the fractions work we did 3 weeks ago? Now, if it was attached to a particular meaty task that the children are involved in, some problem solving, they are far more likely to remember that than it's what I did on page 64 and we did then page 65 and I coloured in this box. So I think when we connect things in real life that way, and I see it then in the classroom, how the teachers have made those tasks more memorable, more tangible for the children to hang on their knowledge, it helps retain that learning going forward. And